Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the conversation series. I am thrilled today because I have Emelyn Jade here with me, and she's a fellow runner in a very different league than I am in because she is a marathon runner. But I am so excited to have her here with me today because we're going to geek out a little bit on the sport, but also the incredible platform and fun platform she has created. So I'm going to turn it over to her and let her introduce herself.
Thanks so much, Danielle. So as she's mentioned, I am Emelyn. I'm actually not new to the sport of running, but I am, I wouldn't say new so much, but kind of new-ish
Yeah.
to long distance running. Love it a lot so far. What else can I say about me? I guess a fun fact about me is I am on the cusp of two horoscope signs. I am between a Libra and a Scorpio.
Very cool.
My partner would say I'm more of a Scorpio than a Libra. But yeah, and I'm also based in Vancouver, British Columbia, which is in Canada.
And can I just say, what an incredible way that you just got proposed to in
Oh my gosh.
Iceland. I I was when I saw that on your social channels, I was like, well, isn't that an incredible place to get to
Oh my
get
gosh.
engaged?
Yeah, I did not expect it at all. It was a complete surprise. I bawled. I couldn't even say yes. I obviously said yes by like nodding. But my partner had to ask me twice because I was just crying. Speechless.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. I want to start it. You kind of hinted at it. I want to start at the very beginning for you for your running. When did you start running? How did you amp up and become to the runner you are today?
Yeah, so I played all sports all my life since I was a child. Basketball was my first love, and then sometime when I was in high school, I think a senior, probably a junior, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I started getting into track and field
Okay.
and fell in love with the 100-meter sprint, 200, and then I did 400. That was my max. And then I did a bunch of field sports like long jump and triple jump. Loved it, loved all the short distances, and loved that kind of type of running.
Yep.
Um, and then I kind of fell out of it as I went through college and whatnot. And then I started working, kind of was lost in terms of like, okay, what do I need to do now? Because I tied my identity to all these different sports. And then as you go through college and then going into the corporate
Yeah.
world, you're just kind of stuck and
Yeah.
you start working, you're like, hey, what do I do now? What's my
Yeah.
identity kind of thing? And then I actually met my partner at work, and then he was like, he started a corporate team and was like, let's go run a 10K. And
Yeah.
like reluctantly, I joined. And then after I was like, hey, I'm not running that again. And
Yeah.
then we were just talking back and forth. And he was like, would you ever run a half marathon or a marathon? I was like,
Yeah.
no way. That scares me. He's like, but it's so fun. I was like,
Yeah.
no, I can never do it. And then, as the years went by, we started dating. And then he's actually an Ironman himself, like a triathlete. And so a lot of the stuff that he's been doing inspired me, and he planted the seed. So eventually I started running more 10Ks, got hooked, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I love the atmosphere. And then I was like, okay, maybe I'll run a half marathon, and just again fell in love with it. And then that's when I hired a coach. She taught me properly in terms of how to train. And then eventually I was like, okay, I'm gonna run a marathon. And then even that journey in itself was
Yeah.
just a totally different ball game.
Yeah. Are you the type of person that's like somebody tells you can't do something, you go do it? Because that was how I got into running.
Yeah.
Is somebody looked at me and was like, you won't run a half marathon, and I was like, sign me up.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. But I'm also the type of person that I can't go jump in the deep end right away. I'm a baby steps type of
Yeah.
person. My partner, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. He's
Yeah.
like, you want me to run an Ironman? I'll 100% do it. I'm not even going to do a half.
Wow. Wow. Holy crap. I couldn't even imagine. People, I think I briefly told you this whole bucket list thing that I'm doing. People have started looking at me now as I've progressed more into it. They're like, "Oh, are you gonna run a marathon?" I was like, "I would rather do anything else than run a marathon because for me, it just seems like too much."
Oh, but I think once you look back, I wanna say you'll get addicted, who knows? I can't speak
Yeah,
for you, but
yeah,
it is quite a journey, and I think it's a special experience for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. I think that I totally agree, but I think it stands for all of running though. Like once you get into it, you get obsessed when you get like races on
Oh,
the
yeah,
calendar because you're like, okay, I'm going to this place, I'm doing this, and it just keeps you motivated to keep
100%. Yeah.
going.
When I ran 10K races,
Yeah.
because I was so hooked, I'm like, "Okay, I need a race every month."
Oh yeah.
And yeah, haven't looked back since.
When you are training for a race, you got that date marked on the calendar, you know it's coming. What does your routine look like?
Oh my gosh, like daily routine?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay,
Let's do a daily
let's
routine.
see, daily routine. I mean, so I've got that set schedule that my coach gives me, and
Right.
so typically it'll be depending on the race, the max amount of days I will train will be 5.
Okay.
Right now for my marathon, it's 4 days of running, 1 day of cross training, and then I'll do strength training at least twice a week. I try to
Okay.
stay on top of it. So that's what my typical week looks like. And then within the day, I am quite I want to say I'm a lazy runner. I don't move as much throughout the
Yeah.
day, but I do my only movement consists of running. So I need to
Yeah.
get better at that, but I do try to move throughout the day, whether that's like sitting and standing as I
Right.
work at my desk during my 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of carb heavy stuff that I'll eat so that I'm fueling for the day.
Yep.
And then I think when the actual routine hits in terms of training, it'll be always activate before a run.
Yep.
So leg swings and whatnot,
Yep.
drills, some strides here and there, and then the training run itself. And then
Yep.
after, I'll do my post run recovery, which is um, taking in protein. And then after doing, some stretches, foam rolling,
Mm.
even some rehab stuff. So like strengthening my glutes and my calves and whatnot. And then that happens on the daily,
Yeah.
whether that's in the morning or in the evening, depending what I have planned for that day.
I think we live up to the title. People are like, runners are crazy. And I'm like, we are because we're not, you know what I mean? We're not kicking a soccer ball around. We're not, you know what I mean? We're not football players. We are working with our bodies and the fact that we put our bodies through so much. We
Oh
have to
yeah.
do so much to make sure that we can continue to do it on a daily basis.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
And like there was I remember when I first started running, I thought all I had to do was run. But
yeah,
you have to do so much more than running. So it can take up a good chunk of your day
yeah,
just to, do like not just do well in running, but to be strong enough to maintain
yeah.
that distance.
Favorite and least favorite race experience you've had so far?
Oh my gosh. Favorite, I would have to say it's a half marathon distance.
Okay.
We call it the first half here in Vancouver
Okay.
because it's the first half marathon that kicks off the year
Oh,
here. And it's chilly, but it's fun because it's nice and flat, with the
yeah,
exception of like two short little hills towards the end.
yeah,
But I love it because it's mostly flat.
yeah,
And then because it's the first half
yeah.
of the year, it just gets everyone pumped up for all the races for the rest of the year.
Nice.
uh, Least favorite race is this 10K race. And it's because there is a really long hill,
Yeah,
probably maybe it spans from a kilometer to almost 2 kilometers. I think
yeah,
that's about a mile and a half
yeah,
for you guys.
yeah,
But it just was so long. And I remember my coach was like, you just have to have some kind of mantra. But
yeah,
as you know, I hate hills. So
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah.
it was tough. But then, I mean, the flip side of that, after that, I was just going
Oh
downhill
god,
and
yeah,
then trying to book it towards the finish line. But no,
yeah,
I couldn't do it. I hated
yeah.
it.
The hills, I just in my head, I'm like little steps, little steps, little steps, little steps, and that's just what I keep repeating to myself, like
That's
going
actually a good way of thinking it. Yeah.
and I'm like, I'm like, it doesn't get any easier. Hills are still hills, and they're still a beast.
Yeah.
It's like they don't go away. They're still standing. They don't move. Running is a very mental sport. It is a very
Mhm.
difficult one. Going up those hills, you have to have that mentality of you got to keep going. You got to keep moving, and a great amount of resiliency. How do you get through that? How do you work through that mental struggle sometimes?
Yeah, it's hard. I actually just recently had a hard time going over that mental
Yeah.
bump, as you would say.
Yeah.
I think because I have been training for 2 marathons now, which
Yeah.
has been taking up this whole
Yeah.
entire year, it's a mental grind.
Yeah.
And so I think it's taken a lot out of me during my first
Yeah.
marathon. And then to go back into it after maybe a month off, it was a lot more difficult. And so I had to kind of rejig or reevaluate how
Yeah.
I was thinking mentally because it was hard to get out of that rut. But it's just constant positive talking,
Yeah.
and talking to yourself as if, you
Yeah.
know, you're talking to your younger self or
Yeah.
even another person. Because I think there was a good month where, especially during my long runs, I would just talk to myself negatively. And then I would end up
Yeah.
like either stopping the run or just having a really bad run.
Yep.
um, and then finally, it was like I had to just prepare a week in advance for my next long run where it's like, okay, and you got this. Just make sure you stay on top of this. Just make sure you're
Yeah.
prepared, you know. And then by the time I got to the run, it started off negative with a negative self-talk again. And so it's like, okay, switch your mindset and start talking to yourself positively. Go back to the reason why you started in the
Ah,
first place. And then all of a sudden the run started getting better. I found my mental strength again, and the run ended up being one of my strongest runs to date. And so I think it's, you know, you just have to talk to yourself,
yep.
and it's hard, but you
Yeah.
just have to go back to the reason that made you
Yeah.
start running in the first place.
Absolutely. Oh, that's beautiful because I mean, it is so hard. You do you do end up like having those mental talks to
Yeah,
yourself because you have to work through those walls and those blocks because you are doing things that are so crazy to your body that it
yeah,
starts to kind of turn on you super quickly. But it's such a mental game, as much it is a physical one.
totally.
Must-haves for your race day. What do you are you a belt person? You have a water bottle in your hand? What kind of runner are you on race
I
day?
am 100% a vest type of
Okay,
girl.
nice.
um, I am big on you practice
Yeah,
with what you need on race day. And so throughout my marathon training, I've been wearing a vest because I was like, okay, where am I going to get my water bottles? There
yeah,
have been times where I've set them aside and it was all of a sudden gone. And so I
yeah,
was like, okay, I got to bring it with me. And so
yeah.
because I've practiced in that for months, I'm like, okay, I'm going to take it to me on race day. So the vest has been with me through my ups and downs,
Nice.
through the good and bad.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take, well, my new vest now with me during my second marathon.
Are you a music, no music?
Oh yeah, 100% music.
Okay,
I can't,
okay.
there've been days where I've done it without. I've never done a long run without music. So I've done some of my short and easy runs with it. And I'm like, okay, this is fine, but I don't think I can do it for more than 10 miles.
I can't. I think I've done 4, and I was like, that's as bad as
Long runs?
No, like 4 just 4 miles, period, and I
Oh,
got to
yeah.
4 miles, and I was like, "I need, like, something to push me, I need some music just to do a little dance to or something to
Yeah.
keep me
Oh my
going."
gosh. That's another level of mental testing right there.
It's insanity. It is, but and I'm like people are like, "Yeah, I don't run with music." And I'm like, "I understand if you don't want, like, to hold your phone in your hand or have it on you or stuff like that," but I'm like, if that's not and the reason you're not doing it, I'm like, "Oh my god, I don't know how you're not doing this."
Yeah, like when you look at like I guess the elite athletes,
Yeah.
and they're running with no music. Like, how?
Yeah.
I just don't know.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, they are getting it done in an hour and 20 twenty
True,
five
it's
minutes,
true.
so they're barely running
It
anyways.
goes by faster.
So they're okay. I they're almost done by the time I'm at like mile 8. You have created this incredible platform that is so fun to follow you on. You've shared so many great tips, your training platform, just your journey through your marathons. What has been your favorite part of creating your platform?
Oh my gosh, I think the fact that I can just be real
Yeah.
with it. I've been in, I guess you could say, the social media world and for a while now. I started back in college days doing YouTube videos for
Okay.
fashion, beauty, DIY, and
Yeah.
whatnot. And I don't know if you've experienced this, but over time, you start to build a brand and identity, and then you want to keep to that brand. And so all of a sudden you're like, okay, I have to act a certain way to portray this brand. And I almost felt fake
Yeah.
and not authentic. And then I was like, okay, when I went into TikTok, I was like, I'm just going to have fun with it. I'm not going to expect anything out of it. And then I was literally just filming what I was doing to prepare for my runs. And it helped keep me accountable at the same time. So I was like, oh my gosh, I'm killing two birds with one
Yeah.
stone here. And so, yeah, it's been fun to just, film what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis and have fun with it.
What has been the reception to comments and things like that on your videos? Are there other people who are chiming in saying, I'm gonna run a race now because of you, or what's the reception been like?
It's been super positive, which has been, I don't know, I did not expect it to happen, and I feel so, like, I just feel amazing and appreciative that I can inspire so many people. Like, there have been comments where it's like, "Oh my gosh, I needed to watch this video. I haven't been wanting to run, but seeing this just motivated me to get out there." Some people are like, "I've just been back from a maternity leave, and just seeing you do your routine just gets me excited to go through my days and prep for my runs." And yeah, there's just been so many positive comments about how I've inspired them. I was like, oh my gosh, I could not see myself being inspirational to other people, but to have that, it's like, I'm just so appreciative and glad that, I can keep doing what I love and inspire people.
Yeah. Not only are you keeping yourself accountable, but you're helping others keep themselves accountable
Yeah.
too, kind of to the
Yeah.
community, which is so beautiful. What is a race that you haven't done or a place you want to go do a race in now?
Oh my gosh, I would love to run one of the world majors.
Okay.
So of course, like, Boston would be amazing.
Yes.
But I think one that's on my radar and I think is a little bit easier to get into via lottery is the Chicago Marathon.
Yeah.
I like was watching everyone this
Yeah.
past, was it in yeah, this month,
Yep.
and I was like, I swear I just had FOMO because I just wanted to be a part of it because I just saw it was just taking up my For You page.
Yeah.
And on
Yeah.
TikTok, I was like, oh my God, that the experiences that they had just looked so
Yeah.
amazing. I was like, okay, one day I'll do it.
Yeah. I've heard nothing but incredible things about both Boston and Chicago. So Boston is like a marathon runner's dream, so I can only
Yeah.
imagine. Like, if you ever do, please keep us up to date on that whole journey because I will just fangirl the hell out of it because I love
Oh,
getting to see everybody's races and especially that one because I think it's just so legendary that race
yeah. Oh
uh,
my gosh.
that it's hard to ignore. You do all this training and preparation, you go to run the race and then you're done.
Yeah.
You got that runner's high, and then you come down through it. How do you work through that post race? I don't know what to do now feelings. What do I
The
do now?
post-race blues.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, oh my gosh. So this hit hard and unexpectedly after my first marathon. And it didn't come right away. It was weird. I think because it was a very unexpected outcome. So I was just analyzing for maybe a week. And then after a week, I just felt so irritable. And I was like, it's as if I almost lost my identity because I'm like,
Yeah.
what do I do now?
Yeah.
Um, and so one of the best advice that I got from someone else actually said, it doesn't have to be running.
Yeah.
Think about what's your next goal and something else. So whether that's like lifting, do you want to lift
Yeah.
stronger? Do you want to get a personal best there? Is it now, do you want to shift to work and try and figure out what kind of projects do you want to take on there? Um, but me being typical runner, it's like, okay, well, I wasn't really stoked about my marathon.
Yeah.
So let me see what kind of races
Yeah.
I can do next. So it was really just looking up what my next race would be, understanding I would have to recover for a good amount of time and then just get back into it. Yeah.
It is crazy because I think with a half marathon, I trained for 3 months. With a marathon, you're probably training longer than that. And
Yeah.
most people to understand that we spend that amount of time, like that's what we live and breathe for however long training lasts, that it's hard to come out of that. It is so incredible
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
because it's so time consuming. I think we talked about when we were talking about the routine, it's so time consuming. We have to do all of these things to make sure that we're prepped and ready to go to come out of it with a medal and a great race and hopefully a great time to look around and be like, oh, I just spent all that time for that, and then what do I do now? Kind of
Yeah.
situation. That it's so incredibly hard to be like, let's go back to the real world and not have anything on the calendar or anything to do.
Yeah, oh my gosh, for sure. And then it's funny that you say that, because I was talking to my partner about this, and it's like that moment you get through the finish line, have a great time. It's like, oh, it's great and all, but it's actually, if you look back at the journey
Yeah,
of everything that you've been through to
yeah,
get you up to that point, that's what makes you,
yeah,
a runner.
yeah,
And that's what I think gets you through day to day. And so I think if you think back about everything that's got you to that point, it just gives you that motivation to keep going, because it's like, okay, that whole 3 months of training got me stronger to that one point,
yeah.
but that's going to continue to get to whatever race I'm going to do next and just become even stronger.
Now, I asked you this before we hit record. Um, Next race on the calendar, where is it? What are you looking forward to about it?
Yeah, so next race on the calendar is going to be the California International Marathon in Sacramento. And yes, it's a marathon. I am hoping to at least redeem myself from the first marathon, because the first marathon, I don't know if you saw on one of my videos, but I
Yeah.
finished in a wheelchair.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I'm hoping to at least finish strong and not in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I can't say if I'll get another calf cramp, because everyone talks about this pain cave in the last 10K of the race.
Yeah.
And so I'm just looking to have fun, finish the year off strong, and hopefully beat my first time.
Nice.
But yeah, I don't want to have too high of expectations,
Yeah.
because training for this marathon was a little bit difficult, a little bit more difficult, I should say, both mentally and physically.
Yeah.
So I think right now I'm just looking to complete it strong,
Yeah.
and with both arms and legs on on the ground. Well, no, not my arms, but my legs, not in a wheelchair.
One of the things that I love about being a runner is the misconceptions that people have about it
Oh my
as runners.
gosh. Don't get me started.
What is the best or biggest misconception you have heard about runners?
Oh, I'm trying to think, like, what's a big one? I mean, okay, this is more related to me.
Yeah.
But one big misconception is they think that, we're always moving,
Oh yeah.
like always running. But I think I mentioned this earlier. I'm like, I'm lazy.
Oh my
Like,
God. I don't
all
do
I want to
anything.
do is just like lie
Yeah.
on the couch after. But I think everyone, I mean, I can't speak for all runners. There are
Yeah.
probably some energizer bunnies out there,
Oh
but yeah, a lot of people think like we're just always running.
yeah.
And it's like, no, I mean,
Yeah.
yes, it's kind of true in a sense, but
Yeah.
like most of the time, well, when I'm not running, I'm just kind of just on the couch, just chilling because like anytime I don't have to run, like I will cherish that moment.
Yeah.
And then I think this misconception, this is a little bit more not sensitive, but this one kind of hits hard with me. And this is something that I struggle with is and kind of one of the reasons where I'm like, okay, I'm going to prove this wrong
Yeah.
because a lot of people have misconceptions that, especially with long distance running,
Yeah.
you have to be tall and skinny in order to, to make it.
To be good.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and to be good. And I'm like, okay, I'm the complete opposite. I'm not tall or skinny. I've got curves, but
Yeah.
I know I can run long distances.
Yeah.
And that kind of, pushed me a little to continue doing this because I'm like, no. And if you look at like you've been to races, we're all different shapes of
Yeah.
of bodies and sizes. And so I think anyone can run a marathon. You don't have to be tall,
Yeah.
skinny, or lanky or whatever they
Yes.
say to to run it. So I think that's a lot of people would be like,
Yeah.
I don't have the body for it. And I was like, that's not true. You can if you put your mind to it and you train. That's why we train
Yeah.
to be strong at it. And so I think to anyone out there that thinks that they can't run it, you're wrong because you
Yeah.
can. Anyone can run it.
Yeah, I'm 5'2", 160
Yeah,
pounds, and I
me
run
too.
I run half marathons. And you know what, as I did cross country and track when I was in high school, was on the varsity team, and a much different weight size than I look back and I'm like, good God, I used to weigh that much. How is that even possible? But I got to I'm now almost 26 years old, been running for almost 15 years, where I don't focus on so much as the time anymore. I'm out here, I'm running. I'm running 6 miles. That is fantastic for me for a weekly run. And I'm getting to go run a half marathon in whatever state that I'm getting to go run in. I call that a great adventure and a great runner's journey
Oh
because
yeah.
it's so much fun. And I don't care if I'm the biggest person there. Great. I, I'll still kick your ass and still try to beat you. I'm not going down without a fight, but it is still I it's one that bugs me too, just because I'm like, we're not
Hmm.
all that. We are not all that shape and size, and especially these days, like
A
not
hundred
everybody is
percent.
like
Yeah.
this. Like
Yeah. And so that's why I love just going to all these different races because it's just so diverse. And I think a lot of, I mean, media doesn't help, but a lot of people just think like
yeah,
you're running a marathon. That doesn't make sense,
yeah,
but
yeah. The funniest misconception I've ever heard is that all runners pee their pants as we run. And I said, well,
uh,
I can't speak for everybody, but I'm going to say I'm not one of those people.
yeah, me neither. Me
I'm like,
neither.
that's got to be a good one that I've heard, but I'm like, I am not that person. So I appreciate you thinking all of us do that.
Oh my gosh. I mean, there have been some close times for
Oh yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And also, sorry if this is TMI, but pooping your pants.
Yeah.
But oh my gosh, it's just like when you start your run and then all of a sudden you gotta go, it's like the worst is if you're in the middle and you're so far from home. It's like, what
Yes.
do you do now? Like chasing for the closest porta potty.
I've had a couple calls where this is so totally TMI, but we're all runners here. When the porta potty line at the start of the race is 2
Oh
minutes
my
long,
gosh.
and you're like, I've gotta go. And the start line is getting ready to start, and you're like, crap. And then the whole race, you're like, your stomach is like on fire.
Yeah.
I'm like, this isn't gonna end well later. This is gonna be awful. And you make it and you just keep running straight to the bathroom just to find me a bathroom. So
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I actually learned my lesson that there's this one time, it was actually in Bellingham, Washington, and I felt like I didn't have to go at the beginning.
yeah,
I was like, okay, this is fine because I've already went.
yeah,
And then, but there are times, there are some days where or some races I have
yeah.
to go more than once.
Oh yeah,
Um, I
yep.
love that we're talking about this right now, but
This is normal, guys. This is so normal for runners that this happens to us all the time. I'm not even kidding with you. It happened to me this past weekend. I'm not even
Oh
joking.
my gosh.
Relax.
Yeah.
Let us share these
So
stories.
yeah, so this Bellingham race, I was fine, and then throughout the race,
Yeah.
I think I felt like fine, taking in my gels and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah.
And then right at the end, like I finished, I was like, oh my gosh, my stomach hurts so much. And I had to go to the bathroom, thought it was all good, but throughout the entire evening, just stomach pain. I was like, why did I hold it? Like
Yeah.
I knew I should have gone from the start. And now my stomach and my body is just like, what the heck did you do to me?
Did
You
you do?
you like pushed me through all this pain in this half marathon, and now I had to pay for it in the evening. It was
Yep.
bad.
Stuff happens, guys. It happens. It's a regular reaction. Like I said, we put ourselves through so much. Something bad's gonna end up happening in some sort of way. Evelyn, my last question for you is just what inspires you?
Yes. I When I saw like your list of questions, I was like, this is hard. What inspires me?
This is a
Um,
question that I love to stump everybody with, by the way, at the end. I'm like, you either know it or I get you really good.
yeah, because this was funny because I was like, okay, I'm thinking about like a famous person or someone that everyone knows who
Yeah.
inspires me. But when it comes down to it, because I had this conversation with my partner and I was like, well, I mean, you inspired me. And
Yeah.
he's like, no, but like think about like in running, who do you look to? Who do you
Yeah.
look up to? And I was like, well, no one really that's like famous or well known because no one looks like me. So it's
Right.
like, how do I aspire to be like them? Because they're not me. They don't
Right.
look like me. But then when I look around, it's like it's the average person. Like when I go to races, as I've mentioned earlier, it's your everyday people. And when we're driving and I see a random person running through the street, I'm like, yeah, you go, girl, you go, dude.
I do the same thing. I'm like, you get that run on, girl.
Yeah, it's the random people, the average people that just get out there and run.
Yeah.
Those are the people that inspire me. And so it's like there's actually no one who's a big name that's out there that really inspire, well, not yet. I mean,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
knows, but it's
Yeah.
like right now at this moment, it's just the everyday people that just get out there because I'm like, especially you don't know what they're going through. So it's like if they're just pushing themselves to go out there, it's like, okay, you're inspiring me to go out there. If you can do it, I can do it too.
Anybody can do it. It's the sport that everybody can do. All you need is a pair of running shoes and a place to run, and you are good to go.
Yep.
If you got a neighborhood, start small and work your way up. And I've seen so many people who have had so many incredible changes and have learned so much about themselves just starting out of that small distance and keep
Mhm.
up that
Yeah.
it's a beautiful, beautiful story to see people go through.
Oh my gosh, yeah. When I like learn about different people's stories about running, like I just cry every time
Yeah,
because it's
yeah,
just so emotional.
it's awesome. It's so cool to see.
Yeah.
Emelyn, I can't thank you enough for coming on and talking with me, even through all the TMI stuff. I love it because I have somebody else who's running and is fun to kind of talk through all this stuff with. So I appreciate you coming on and speaking
Oh, well,
today.
thank you for having me. Yeah, it's rare to talk to other runners and where you can just talk about anything and everything. Because
Yeah.
I think my friends at this point who don't run as much as I do, they're just like, can you please stop going on and on and on about running? See, now I'm already talking about running, so I should probably stop.
I love it though. I love it, and I can't wait to continue to see your journey through this. Getting ready to do this next marathon, and I am going to be following to make sure you don't end up in a wheelchair and you cross that finish line on both legs. But you guys, all of her socials will be linked down below, so please go follow her. But like I said, Emelyn, I appreciate you coming on and talking with me today.
Well, thank you so much. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah, absolutely. And as always, I will see you guys back here next time. Bye, y'all.